Hello and welcome to Getting to Know the Garnet. I'm your host, Matt Judge. On this episode, I'm joined by Pat Gress, head coach of the Swarthmore men's lacrosse team since 1995. Thank you for joining me today, Pat.
Great to be here. Thanks, Matt.
So, you've been here for a long time. Can you talk about your 25 years here at Swarthmore College?
Well, they've flown by for sure. The game and the college have, evolved and changed, and it's kept things exciting, to continue to grow with the college and grow with the department and grow with, the game of lacrosse. And you never feel like you're there. And that's the fun part about coaching is you're always kind of, to a certain extent, playing catch up and trying to grow and develop with things. And our department is, completely different than it was 25 years ago, and all in good ways. So that's been exciting in terms of the growth of the department as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the game has completely been different. Over the last few months, Brandon Hodnett and I have been working on some historical projects with the entire department, and we saw pictures in the yearbooks. The equipment was different 10 years ago. How has the game completely changed?
Well, I think, when I first got here, about half the team played football or soccer. So that was different. You only got the guys and, when football or soccer was over. So I think playing a single sport is unique. The players expect to lift and run whenever they're not in season, on their own and in the summer and stuff. So that sort of all year commitment, I think, is being ingrained in the high school. So to a certain extent, that's a lot easier now. The players come in and they want to lift and they want to work out when we don't have official NCAA practices. So that's been a change. I think it's that's enhanced the game a little bit. When I first started, the midfielders in particular, many of them had dual roles, or some of them had three different roles. Someone would face off and they play offense and defense, and then specialization, especially with the face-off position, change that a little bit. And then the defensive midfielders specialize, and the offensive midfielders, you try to get them off the field to the extent that you can. And with the shot clock coming in the 2019 season, you saw the midfielders all, they want to play defense now so they can get in the transition game a bit more. So I think, coaches are very aware of bringing in athletes and bringing in guys who can run. And I was probably guilty of this bias when you were out recruiting a number of years ago and you see a guy who played only defense, you'd kind of, you might not recruit him because maybe you didn't have the offensive skill. And now you're hyper aware of that player who can play defense and can run the field, and you're trying to bring in guys who can help you beat the shot clock, so to speak, and score in transition. So that's really been, it used to be a sales pitch like, hey, you're a defensive midfielder, you're good, switch over to that position for us and take one for the team. And now I think that's become a position that's really important. Coaches knew that before, but players weren't quite as appreciative of that position, and they all wanted to play offense only and sub out. It was kind of a bad thing if they didn't get subbed out and they were left on defense. And I think that change is really interesting and fun to see that come back into the game, not just because of the shot clock, but that's certainly, you're seeing more of that. And you're recruiting to that specification of bringing in guys who can, be two-way midfielders. We don't see the face-off guys playing in the field as much as we used to. That was something that was kind of, your best guys sometimes faced off for you too and stayed on the field. So that's been a change that's been something that's been relatively unchanged, although they did change the rules to the specifics of the mechanics of the face-off this year. So.
Yeah, so it's an ever-growing sport, constantly growing.
Right.
So, unfortunately, the 2020 season ended abruptly. You guys were off to a great start. Can you talk about what that experience was like from the first game until finding out what was happening with the 2020 season?
Right. Um, it was a unique season in many ways. The players, you know, got mad at me the year before because we didn't play enough tough non-conference games. I thought the teams were there were historically have been teams we had great games with. But so we added Stevens to the roster or
Mhm.
to the schedule. They were our first game, and then we added Elizabethtown and kept a lot of the other games that were great games and teams that we'd love to play locally, like Widener and Arcadia, and we didn't get to play Del Val, but they've given us good games too, and they'll remain on the schedule as long as they want to continue to play us. But adding those two games early in the season um, was awesome. I think the players benefited from it. The guys were excited to start talking about those early season games. So we opened up with Stevens, and they're very good.
Mhm.
They ride hard. They were, it was almost like they had been practicing for several months with how advanced their ride was. So we struggled a little bit there, and their game, they're a good team across the board. So that was a game where we got a lot of good video afterwards to see what we could work on, and they pressure. Um, so that was out of the gate was a really valuable game, and Frankie Dillon, our goalie, was I think a 9-4 or 9-5 game or whatever. I think it was 9-4, mainly because Frankie made like 50 saves. So he really was, he was in midseason form in that game, and I think there were parts of the game where you saw glimmers of, okay, we can be okay, but we're not okay right now. After I think we only had, you know, whatever 10 practices or something. Then we played Widener. They're very good. We got down, I think, 6-0, and then it ended up losing 11-9. But the guys showed a lot of grit. They played all 60 minutes. So if you're gonna open up with two losses, you want them to be games where there's a competitive level and growth, and we got both of those things, and then we won our next four and started to sort of gradually put things together. The guys, they love to practice. They practice hard. We don't have an issue ever with motivating. The guys care about practice. They care about the details. So we just had to kind of say, just give us another week, give us another week, give us another week. Things will come together, and they did. The leadership, is the guys care, and our leaders cared, and they did a lot of work in the off season, lifting and running every morning of the week with Coach Stu, and bought into that, and so that they were, you knew that we were going to get better. It was just how long and how many losses would pile up before that happened. Fortunately, it was just two, and then we things started to come together a little bit more, and so we finished 4-2, and then the spring break trip was weird. There were rumors of the virus shutdown and so on, but you weren't sure when it was going to happen. Fortunately, we were able to travel and have that, I guess it was 3 days in Virginia together. So the guys were especially tight anyway, but I think that week was pretty cool to kind of finish your season, or what we thought might be the end of the season together in Virginia. And, we were able to get, all the seniors in that game, which was great. As everyone knows, Swarthmore is a really challenging place to play because you have to do the schoolwork,
Mhm.
and the guys care about it, and they get they get after it academically. They put their heart and soul into sort of all facets of campus life, and to be able to give to get the seniors a little bit of recognition. That last game, typically it's the last home game, but we were able to do that in Virginia just as a small way of acknowledging everything that they give to the
Mhm.
team. So that was pretty cool. And we were able to, give some hugs, although we weren't probably should have social distanced at that time. We gave some hugs at the end of that game, and guys went home, not knowing that, but feeling like it might be the end. And
Mhm.
then obviously things transpired, and it was our last game. But if it had to end abruptly, you'd want it to end together, kind of on the road with a win and being able to say thank you. And we were able to do that.
Like a little mini senior day victory.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little mini senior day. You always want to thank the seniors. You understand that it's what they're getting is incredibly valuable, but they earn every bit of value that they get. And the coaches don't say it enough, but that last day you want to say that, like, hey, thank
Mhm.
you for everything. We were able to do that to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's always important. So aside from coaching, you also teach physical education. Can you discuss what classes you teach?
I teach tennis and fitness training. So yeah, so all the coaches teach. It's fun. You deal with students who aren't varsity athletes in many cases, so you get a broader spectrum of the students, and it's just such a cool experience dealing with the non-athletes. They're awesome.
Mhm.
You get to know them a little bit, and they all have their own unique story. And it's a very low pressure environment, so you can kind of chat with them a little bit, and you see a different perspective on things. And what you realize is the athletes and the non-athletes are really similar in that they're engaged and they're super motivated and they're just awesome people. So yeah, so the phys ed piece, I think the coaches in general all love to do it. I think it's a valuable part of what we're doing. It keeps us engaged in sort of the curriculum to a certain extent, and it's something that I think is unique to what we're doing, and the coaches enjoy. I certainly enjoy doing it. When I first got here, it was, I'm not sure if no one wanted to teach tennis, but I had never played tennis other than recreationally a handful of times. So um, Mike Mullen, who was a longtime tennis coach here, uh, for whatever reason, took me under his wing, and I actually took his class as a student, as a 27-year-old or 28-year-old student, and I took the class with him that first semester, and I was a student in the class. It was a little odd because I had gray hair at the time back then, so I stuck out a little bit. Also, I was horrible at tennis, so Mike taught me the ropes, and
Okay.
and then throughout the years, I've leaned on him in a number of different ways, but I've leaned on him to teach me the game a little bit, and then Jeremy Loomis, who's the women's tennis coach, Jason Box, who is the men's tennis coach now, are awesome resources. So I've leaned on the experts a ton, and enough to at least get through a PE class, and I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, so you definitely have learned from the best, Mike Mullen, and
Absolutely.
now on to Jeremy and Jason. So
Absolutely. They're great. They're great teachers. It isn't, I was a good player, and they rely on that. They're teachers of the game, and I love stealing from those guys.
So you like to always go out and reach out to other people. You reach out to your alumni all the time. Like many other coaches, you have alumni events throughout the year. A lot of them engage with your current student athletes. Can you discuss those events?
Yeah, we do a couple of things. We have a fall alumni game, so that's fun. The alumni come back and they play against our current team. So it gives us a scrimmage in the fall. So that's fun. The guys can engage from a competitive standpoint. And we have, a little gathering afterwards, and some of the alumni stick around and talk. We do something similar in the spring at our Haverford game. Our Swarthmore alumni play the Haverford alumni in the morning before our game, and that's a great way to, bridge that gap. When for 4 years the players, there's, I would say, animosity, but it's certainly a heightened sense of competition for that game. I think everybody understands the Haverford guys are great, and and they're are just like our players. They care about the right things, but when you're competing, it's hard to to see through that lens. And so that alumni game is cool because they compete, but they're all old, they're all slow, their skills are diminishing, they're humble, and they have fun, and they enjoy. They probably hang out and have a couple beers after and chat about whatever. So that's a neat thing for the guys to do in the spring. And then this year we had two sort of networking events. We had our alumni come back and speak to the team, and I think we did that in November. And then we had the parents do a career networking event in the spring after our Elizabethtown game. So those are different in the sense that they're networking and building contacts for careers, and they're just sort of digging into the nuts and bolts of what parents and alumni are doing in their careers. And I think those are valuable. Full disclosure, one of our parents put those together. So those weren't my doing. I was Mimi Drake. She'll be mad at me for saying that, but she was the one that put those together and then let me take the credit. But she really did all the work behind the scenes, and she really did a fantastic job. Our players benefited, and I think the alumni and parents really enjoyed engaging there. But those were things that she put together, and I was kind of just there and said yes. So, but they were really, really valuable, and we plan to do those in the future.
That's always great to have the students and alumni meeting each other, but also the parents getting to know the current student athletes and being able to network with them.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned how you learned the game of tennis. What is something fun that not everybody knows about you?
I'm actually, as boring as I seem to my players, I don't have there aren't a lot of, I don't have a lot of hobbies. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Lacrosse is a hobby. So, as much as I enjoy, being at work, I enjoy the game just as much when I'm at home. So I do a little, watch a lot of lacrosse because I just enjoy that. Just spending time with my family really is as much as I can when I'm not doing lacrosse, because lacrosse, as the same with your job, it's 24/7 sometimes. So to me, it's kind of minimizing the other stuff, so I don't have a ton of hobbies other than family. And, I think my family doesn't appreciate how funny I am sometimes. I think I have an awesome sense of humor, but they say my stories are repetitive and not as funny. So that might be something that is an unknown about me is how great my sense of humor is and how underappreciated it is in my own house. So, but yeah, just lacrosse, spending time with my family. I work around the house. I love, fixing things or, breaking things and losing my temper and then trying to fix things back up. That's I enjoy that. I enjoy house projects, but those are really nothing super revealing, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah. And somebody has to fix something around the house, so
Right.
it's up to you.
Why not be me losing my temper and buying unnecessary tools and so on.
So before we finish up, is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I appreciate your time. I know your staff does an unbelievable job of promoting our great students and our great athletics department. And I certainly appreciate you reaching out and spending some time with me. I certainly enjoy this opportunity and appreciate everything you're doing.
Of course. Thank you very much, Pat. And it's great to always work alongside you. And it's a little bit different this time, virtual instead of just walking into each other's office.
Absolutely. Look forward to that time where we can open the door and say hi.
Yes. Thank you very much, Pat, and have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.